Power Tracks presents the most powerful sport on earth, the Renegade's TNT Monster Truck Challenge. Power Tracks is brought to you by the heartbeat of America, today's Chevy truck.
Hello, everybody. I'm Richard Leek, along with Armstrong. We're in the state of Kentucky, Louisville, Kentucky, to be exact, the home of fast horses, beautiful women, a lot of motorsports fans, and some big-time monsters. As a matter of fact, this afternoon, the Renegade's TNT Monster Truck Challenge has brought the best to town.
The best are definitely here. Your current national points leader, Bob Chandler's Bigfoot truck, being driven by Rich Hooser. He is on top of the pile in the points chase on the Renegade Tour. However, everybody's watching this young kid out of the Lone Star State of Texas, Paul Huffaker, with a truck that goes by the name of Just Showin Off, Richard.
And here at the brand new Louisville Motor Speedway, the track is going to be tough. It's a figure-8 track, which means it's a long track.
The long track, you have to make left turns, right turns. As a matter of fact, the track is so demanding, we lost 2 vehicles trying to qualify for this event.
We're going to be back to get the competition underway in just a moment. From Louisville, Kentucky, as the Renegade's TNT Monster Truck Challenge begins round 1. Back, everybody. I'm Richard Leek, along with Armstrong. We're in Louisville, Kentucky, the home of thoroughbreds horse style. Only today, the home of thoroughbreds motor style. It's a beautiful day in the city, and we've got a near-capacity crowd on hand to watch some great competition. As a matter of fact, Army, the best in the business here today.
Best in the business, but one of the top guns will not be able to compete. Transmission took its toll this afternoon in the first qualifying round, and qualifying is underway now, Richard.
King Crunch is out of it. Here's the way they do line up first-round pairings. Of course, Bigfoot got a bye. He had a fast time. Then it'll be Casper with Dale Harris against Awesome Kong and Jeff Dane. Ron Dennis and Leadfoot takes on John Moore and No Problem. Then we'll have the Stomper 2 machine with Marvin Smith, Stomper 2, one of the many Stomper machines on the circuit, against King Kong and Stephen Kane. And finally, Just Showing Off with Paul Huffaker up against the Renegade 1 machine of Warren Hudson. So that's the first-round pairings, and we are on a figure-8 course, the only one these guys race on in America.
The figure-8 presents a whole lot of new problems, Richard. Number one, the length of the track, plus the fact the vehicle is turning left and right, and the cooling of the engines. The oil in these engines has a tendency to run away, and the drivers are awfully worried about it. They're going to be keeping an eye on the heat gauges, plus the length of the track. A whole new set of competition sets up here.
Well, you see there the USA 1 machine of Rod Litzow. He's one of the favorites here today as he gets ready to qualify. He's a favorite because of the way his truck is set up. Earlier this afternoon, Armstrong spent some time with the owner and designer of the USA 1 machine, Everett Jasmer, and asked him exactly why this machine has got to be a favorite.
Well, we've set the truck up, first of all, what I consider to be highly advanced in the monster truck industry. We set it up so that we can change gear ratios real quickly. We've got a quick change transfer case gearbox. It takes about 10-15 minutes to change gear ratios. We can set it up from about 2 to 1 to about 6 to 1 with different gears. Which makes it real easy to set the truck up for a long course or a short course, that particularly being in a straightaway, dragaway type race.
Well, just a short while ago, the USA 1 machine of Rod Litzow was set up for his qualifying run. We're going to take a look at it as he takes off.
Left the line very hard, but the transmission seemed to go away on him. You hear the engine kind of wrap up, and Rod stays after it. He goes into the first corner of the first right, looking at the heat gauges. He knows he has problems. As blue smoke comes out, he immediately goes to the infield, Richard.
And you can see right here, he flips off his safety harnesses, and he is out of the truck quickly. Rod Litzow, the driver of the USA 1 machine, out of competition. We went down trackside immediately with the owner of USA 1 to find out exactly what happened coming off the start-finish line.
Everett Jasmer, the owner of the USA 1 Chevrolet, one of the top trucks on the circuit, not qualifying for the program today. What's exactly the problem, Everett?
We've had a bad run elector with transmissions in the last 2 days. Yesterday we qualified number 1. I think we would have had no problem making it to the final and quite possibly winning. Semifinal round, we lost the transmission. Come out here this morning, put a brand new transmission in it, and just barely made it off the line, hit second gear, and a torque converter blew on it.
So already this tough figure-8 track here at the Louisville Motor Speedway has taken its toll. Rod Litzow and USA 1 out of competition, so we begin round number 1 with a good matchup. Casper, Dale Harris out of Pearl, Mississippi, taking on the Awesome Kong machine of Jeff Dane out of Killeen, Texas.
Dane, normally one of the strong chargers off the starting line, draws a tough truck out of the state of Mississippi on the inside. Now, Dale Harris will have an advantage. Halfway around the track, you go inside, halfway on the outside. Harris draws the first half inside, and he immediately takes advantage of it. Normally, The Texas truck will be really charging by now, Richard. I don't know what the problem is, but Dale Harris is not waiting. He's trying to establish a lead as they go into the first right turn. They get ready to approach the first jump, and Dale Harris is holding on strong lead at this point.
Dale Harris going up the first set of jump, and he is over. He is looking good, but he gets a little loose coming off there, and here comes the Awesome Kong machine.
Harris bounced, went to the right a little bit, and Dane takes advantage of it. So following his normal course, Dane waits till the end, comes back. He's going to close the door on him as they finish the final left-hand turn, trying to advance to the next round.
Now, that is not normally the sheet metal you see on that vehicle, is it?
Normally, they have to run a full truck body. However, due to the fact they've had quite a few wrecks with this vehicle, they've just completely torn the bodies off of it. He has another one on order. He'll put it back and be on tour, I'm sure, in the near future.
Casper makes a late charge, but it's not enough. Moving on into round 2 will be Awesome Kong, and we'll be back with more one competition in just a moment. Already, we've got one competitor that's moved into round 2. Awesome Kong, and now 2 more guys go door to door to try to make their way around in the second round competition, and we got a great crowd on hand. A lot of kids here with their families.
Well, a lot of families enjoying the competition on a Renegade Monster Truck Tour. Speaking of family, no love lost between these 2 fellas coming out there from different families, different side of the country. Arizona and the state of Tennessee will be represented in this round.
Ron Dennis, of course, and John Moore. John Moore in the No Problem machine. He is out of Lafayette, Tennessee. Ron Dennis from Flagstaff, Arizona, will be driving Leadfoot, and you see quite a bit of oil there on the track.
I tell you, in the first round of competition, that truck did not attack like they thought it would. We're going to go back to pits and check right now to the action on the track, still trying to qualify for this second round.
Well, it's no problem on the outside. He'll be on the inside after they make their first jump. But taking the big, quick lead is Leadfoot and Ron Dennis as they head for the first set of jumps.
The Arizona native runs up, head comes out the window, and he slows down. That gives the Ford a chance to come on, and Ford's closing the door on him, Richard. He's trying to pull it back. He will have the inside for the final part of the track. Back topside to you.
It is going to be door to door as they come around this final turn, heading for the final set of cars in the jumps. Ron Dennis with a slight lead now. It's John Moore out of Lafayette, Tennessee, and No Problem, trying to gain ground. Smoke pouring out of the Leadfoot machine. Here they come, up and over the final jump. We're going to have quite a finish here. John Moore with a little bit of an edge, and he's going to cross the finish line first. Your winner, John Moore out of Lafayette, Tennessee, in the Ford No Problem. Leadfoot with Ron Dennis coming in second. He's going to have to head back to the pits and find out if there's any major problem with that machine as you see the smoke coming out from it. Let's go down trackside with Army, and your winner, John Moore.
John Moore, driver of the No Problem Ford, advances in the competition. Now, John, you fellas had a war out there. That's had to be the closest finish we've seen in competition this week.
Oh, yeah, I really thought he was going to get ahead of me there, and I wasn't sure whether we were going to be able to get up, and I got a little out of shape coming up on the cars there, but I fortunately caught up.
Well, I'll tell you what, John Moore and his crew are going to be going back, putting it together. They'll be coming out for the next round of competition.
And coming out, hoping to make it on to the round 2 now, Marvin Smith out of Arnold, Missouri, and Stomper 2 going up against some stiff competition in the Ford-driven machine of Stephen Kane from Killeen, Texas, in the King Kong machine. And something interesting here, Army, is that both these vehicles are part of multiple operations.
Jeff Dane out of Killeen, Texas, he runs 2 vehicles, King Kong and Awesome Kong. There are 2 Stomper Chevrolets. We're watching one now. One of them gets a tremendous jump as Smith gets a good jump, but he's in trouble. It looks like he's up against the wall, Richard.
Matter of fact, he has hit the wall. Little smoke coming off the tires are where he hit it, and that gives King Kong the advantage as he heads to the first set of jumps.
Kane trying to hold on, but the Chevrolet's coming back on him. Kane has to slow down a little bit. Marvin Smith trying to redeem himself from getting into the wall with that Chevrolet. He's starting to work the inside. Second half of the course, the short part will be to the Chevrolet. Back topside to you, Richard.
Well, they are door to door as they come around the final turn, heading for the final jump of cars. Stomper 2, the Chevrolet with Marvin Smith, and King Kong, the Ford, driven by Stephen Kane. It is Stomper 2 with the advantage right now, heading up and over the final set of cars to jump. Here comes King Kong, too little, too late. Your winner is going to be Marvin Smith in the Stomper 2 Chevrolet. Marvin Smith out of Arnold, Missouri, now moves on into the second round of competition, along with Awesome Kong and Bigfoot. Let's go down trackside. Army is going to be talking with your winner, Marvin Smith, in the Stomper 2 machine.
Marvin Smith takes the Chevrolet people, the Stomper Chevrolet truck, and advances them to the next round of competition. Marvin, on the start, you actually got into the wall up here in the number 1 corner. How did you pull it back?
Well, I just had to keep fighting the steering, let off the gas, try to jump it back over. My rear steering, for some reason, I lost a little. It must have been an error or something in the back line. It wouldn't kick back on me. But all of a sudden, I got it back.
So you were using rear steering in this round of elimination?
Just a little bit on the first right there. It jumped sideways and I had to pull it back.
Well, Marvin Smith keeping the hopes alive for all the Chevy fans on the Renegade Tour.
And there's some of our many young fans showing off their favorite monster trucks. And speaking of showing off, here's Paul Huffaker out of Conroe, Texas, and his Just Showing Off Ford. And he's got some stiff competition in the Renegade 1 machine of Warren Hudson. Warren driving out of Mountain Home, Arkansas.
Richard, a lot of people that follow monster truck racing, they've watched this Huffaker youngster come up. He has his own truck now, but hadn't always been that way. He started literally crew chiefing for Scott Stevens' King Crunch operation. He stepped up to the Coors monster truck. Now he has his own, and what a truck he has. A tremendous hole shot. This kid from the Lone Star State wants a win, jumps way out in front over the Renegade vehicle.
Just Showing Off is doing just that right now. Paul Huffaker is going up and over his first jump easily. Meanwhile, where the heck is Renegade 1?
Huffaker really not worried about it. We're watching the Renegade 1 as Huffaker races to the front of him. The Renegade 1 just now coming over the first set of crunch cars. Looks to have a tremendous amount of problem. The engine is just not sounding right, Richard.
Well, obviously some major problems with Renegade 1 and Warren Hudson. Meanwhile, without any major problems here, Paul Huffaker and Just Showing Off will move on into quarterfinal round competition. He does just that. Paul Huffaker and Just Showing Off will take on Stomper 2 next. Meanwhile, major problems with the Renegade 1 machine, possibly a piston or a head gasket. We'll find out as we come back with more quarterfinal round competition in just a moment from Louisville, Kentucky. Back in Louisville, Kentucky, Richard Leek, along with Army Armstrong, the capacity crowd loving every minute of this monster truck competition. Quarterfinal round action to begin now. Bigfoot 4 with Rich Hooser, your fastest qualifier, up against Casper of Dale Harris, who was the fastest loser in round 1.
Harris advances by virtue of being a quick loser in round 1. Rich Hooser a little disadvantaged. He qualified quick, but this is the first time today, Richard, he's actually had to pair up with somebody, and right now, Dale Harris is making Bigfoot. Rich Hooser, word for it. Hooser has to go high to make the approach to the jump. A little bit of a lead for Casper, but Bigfoot's coming back on him.
These guys are putting on a wild door-to-door battle right now, the Ford and Bigfoot. Rich Hooser with the advantage over Casper and Dale Harris as Bigfoot is heading for the final jump.
A lot of chassis lean on Bigfoot. Harris keeps the pressure on. He's not going to give it to him. Rich is going to have to earn it.
Whoa, look at Casper sky high. Take a wild ride down. Your winner's going to be Rich Hooser and Bigfoot. The big Ford out of St. Louis, Missouri is going to move on. Meanwhile, what a great show from that gentleman, Dale Harris in Pearl, Mississippi in the Casper machine. The crowd loving every minute of it. Meanwhile, Rich Hooser's got smoke boiling out of Bigfoot. What would that be from?
Some of the problems they were experiencing previously was the oil was running to one side of the engine and was not letting it oil the other side of the engine. You notice the kidney belt that he's wearing. These drivers take such an abuse, Richard, that they actually have to wear the kidney belt that's made popular in motorcycle racing.
All right, we are set to go now with our other quarterfinal round competition. It's going to be Awesome Kong and Jeff Dane going up against No Problem and John Moore.
Ford's a pair, one out of Texas, one out of the volunteer state of Tennessee. The one thing in common, they both won earlier today. Now, Dane gets a definite advantage by going on the inside. However, he still doesn't look to be attacking the track as normally the King Kong and the Awesome Kong trucks do, but maybe he doesn't have to. He's trying to save equipment maybe to get into the next round. He's in the lead. That's all he needs to be. John Moore experiencing some types of problems as it goes over the jump. Dane out of Texas, motoring to the high side of the track. You can hear the engine. As a matter of fact, you can see the driver moving around almost like he's waving to the crowd, like he's not even worried about it. He's in the lead, Richard.
Dane and Awesome Kong thinks he's got it wrapped up right now as John Moore's No Problem is having some kind of problem. Here comes Awesome Kong over the final set of cars. He is going to move into the semifinals. Dane, your winner, and Awesome Kong as John Moore from Lafayette, Tennessee, is going to have to load up the No Problem machine and head back to the volunteer state. He's out of it as he will no longer move on into competition. But moving on will be the Awesome Kong machine. to take on Bigfoot and Rich Hooser. And Army, I don't believe what I'm seeing right now. Rich Hooser is down with these crunch cars looking for parts.
He and his crew chief, George Smith, they lost an oil plug, and they found him one right now. Where do they find it? In the crunch car. So Hooser has to get back with the crew, put it together. Speaking of crews, the Louisville Motor Speedway crew getting the oil off the track. Hooser hustling back up to keep the Bigfoot monster in action. And speaking of action, look what we have here, Richard.
Paul Huffaker and Marvin Smith. Stomper 2 is taking on Just Showing Off.
Stomper 2, some kind of problems earlier in the day, had problems in the wall. He was able to pull it back. It's not going to work this time, but that's a break for Huffaker. He jumps out with that Texas-based Ford, but the truck seems to start and stop. It's the engine is breaking up something terrible as you hear it come to life and then die instantly. Huffaker works the outside. Smith going to try to pull him back for the Chevrolet fans as Smith will pull the Stomper on the short side, the inside part of the track. As we approach the finish line, Richard, back to you.
Well, Paul Huffaker is slowing down to almost a snail's pace. Is it going to be fast enough, though, to hold off Marvin Smith and Stomper 2? Yes, it will be. Paul Huffaker, Just Showing Off, is having some problems, but he still advances to the semifinals. And here comes Stomper 2 and Marvin Smith as he finishes and waves to the crowd. He's out of it for the day. Paul Huffaker moves on. Let's go down to Army.
Paul Huffaker, the engine was breaking up all the way through on that run. What seemed to be the problem?
I don't know, Army. Let me check something real quick.
Okay, definitely a heating problem on the Just Showing Off for Huffaker. He's trying to get into the finals of this thing. We're going to let he and the crew get right back to work.
Well, as you see the overheating happen, we'll be back to start semifinal round competition from Louisville in just a moment. TNT Motorsports may be bringing the most powerful sports on earth, truck and tractor pulling and monster truck racing, to your area in the near future. The Renegade's TNT Monster Truck Challenge continues in August and September with more exciting side-by-side racing by the big trucks. The circuit visits the Kalamazoo County Fairgrounds, Kalamazoo, Michigan, August 25th and 26th. The North Carolina State Fairgrounds in Raleigh, North Carolina, August 26th and 27th. And the Augusta Expo Land in Fishersville, Virginia, September 10th and 11th. September is a huge month on the Redman TNT All-American Pulling Series as national points races come to a close for the summer. The series continues on September 17th and 18th at Purdue University in West Lafayette, Indiana, and at the Mississippi Valley Fairgrounds, Davenport, Iowa, September 23rd and 24th. The Redman TNT All-American Pulling Series moves indoors September 30th through October 2nd at the Omni in Atlanta, Georgia. Look for TNT in the most powerful sport on earth in your area. Back in Louisville, Kentucky, semifinal round of competition underway, but really no competition, Army, as Awesome Kong and Bigfoot were supposed to go at it. Awesome Kong broke at the start line.
Boy, a tough break. The young kid out of Texas trying to make a name for himself. The transmission just finally gave away with the 1,000 horsepower engine and 20,000 pounds of weight. Something had to give. He'll be back another day.
So your winner, Rich Hooser in Bigfoot 4, he moves into the championship round. Let's go down with Army trackside now to find out what happened.
A tough break. All the way over from Texas, trying to make it 2 in a row on the Renegade Tour. Do you have any idea what went wrong?
Well, I'm qualifying and busted my rear drive shaft, and every pass I took, I was busting my transmission line and kept breaking.
So there you see the transmission fluid pouring out from underneath the Awesome Kong machine of Steve Dane. He's out of it. Bigfoot moves on into the finals. Meanwhile, it's going to be in the other semifinal competition. Paul Huffaker and Just Showing Off against, surprise, surprise, here comes Casper again and Dale Harris.
Remember we told you earlier, Richard, in this competition, the quick loser in the previous round comes back. Well, Harris out of Mississippi's back, but believe me, he grabbed a hold of a rattlesnake out of Texas right now. Huffaker wants to get a hold of Bigfoot in the final, and he put a hole shot on the Mississippi Toyota. Huffaker wants to make it an all-Ford final as he approaches the first jumps.
Just Showing Off is up and over, but here comes Casper putting on a late charge.
Casper wants to get a shot at him. They're getting together. Awfully tight up in the corner. Casper's into him. Huffaker had to shut out. Casper keeps moving, and Huffaker sets injured up in that numbered 4 corner.
All right, what is the Renegade TNT rules on competition like this?
What it states specifically is you must stay in your lane, and it looks like that the Mississippi truck went out of the lane. Casper, I believe, will draw a disqualification by virtue of running out of the lane. Remember, he started on the outside. He had to crisscross or go over. When he crisscrossed, he got into the vehicle. As you can see here, Huffaker locks the brakes up, does not make contact with the wall. That's to his advantage. I don't believe there's any major damage to the vehicle. We're going back to you.
Well, in fact, Casper has been disqualified. Paul Huffaker, just showing off, moves into the finals against Bigfoot. And earlier today, Army spent some time with your national points leader, Rich Hooser of Bigfoot.
Now, Rich, at the beginning of the year, you guys jumped way out on the competitors. We're at half season now, and it looks like they're starting to close back in on you fellas.
Yeah, they're closing in. The competition's getting tough. These guys are coming out here with a little bit more than just putting on a show. They're building up their motors, and they're realizing what they have to do to their trucks to make them last through these courses we've been running through.
You as a driver, what are you looking for? The Renegade circuit, the TNT people are putting together different types of courses. You got straight courses, you got U-turn courses, and then tonight in the competition this afternoon, you're going to be going on a figure-8 course. How do you adjust your truck there?
Well, it's kind of hard because each of them is different. A lot of guys will run a straight axle in the rear. Of course, we run the rear steering all the time, and it makes it a little bit stronger for your straight courses. But then when you come to somewhere you need the turns and you need that rear steering, the guys with the straight axles won't do as well.
Okay, now what are you going to do? You're talking about keeping your truck on top of this thing. You are the points leader. You know they're closing in. We're at half season. What are you and your crew going to do in order to stay out in front of this thing?
Well, we just keep trying as hard as we can, and hopefully we can just keep on winning. These other guys are coming up real fast, but I still got a little bit of a lead on them, and if I can still get first or even second, even if you get second, you're still up there good on points.
Rich Hooser teamed up with the Bigfoot operation to Bob Chandler. They're number one. The question is, can they stay there?
Well, the question right now, Army, in Louisville, Kentucky at the Louisville Motor Speedway is, can he be number one at the finish line here? The championship battle between Bigfoot and Rich Hooser and Paul Huffaker, and just showing off. There you see the track officials saying they're lined up and ready to go.
Huffaker wants Hooser. This kid's trying to make a name for himself. We told you the story about him. He started at the bottom. Now you can't get any higher than this. You're going for the number one, running the number one truck. Huffaker will try to put a hole shot on him, and he does. What a hole shot. Hooser out a little bit late. Huffaker jumps to the inside, trying to hold Bigfoot on that left hip. But believe it or not, that's exactly where Rich Hooser wants to be, because he makes a wide turn as he closes in on a jump. Keep an eye out for Bigfoot. I believe he's coming after him, Richard.
Here comes Bigfoot, up and over both of them. A wild ride, just showing off in Bigfoot. The two Fords battling for the championship in Louisville. Right now, Rich Hooser has the advantage as they head for the final jump.
Huffaker works the outside. You'll notice Hooser actually looks over his right shoulder to see where Huffaker is. He's coming across to put another win on the Renegade Tour under his belt.
So there's your champion. It is Rich Hooser. The crowd loves Bigfoot wherever he runs. Rich Hooser out of St. Louis, Missouri, crowned the king in Louisville this afternoon. Paul Huffaker, and just showing off his second. You see him popping the hood on that big Ford motor, getting some air. Army Armstrong is down with Rich Hooser to describe the winning run.
Well, and it's been tough. We've had to work hard this weekend. A lot of good competition coming out these days, and makes us just have to run even harder.
Say, you and the crew have been thrashing all weekend long, keeping everything going.
Yeah, and I'd like to thank everybody that helped, Don and Bob and George and Harold from down in Nashville, and a bunch of great guys, and there's a lot of help.
Well, I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, monster truck racing at its best. Right now, we're going to check see if we get Paul Huffaker. Paul, come here, son. Congratulations.
Hey, great run, man.
Second place finish. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. Hell, track's getting rough out there. I didn't know if my front tire was going to stay on or not. I've been having problems with the split ring, and it made that whole pass nothing holding the wheel on but the air pressure.
Which tire was that now?
Front driver's tire.
Oh, what a show. The monster truck's doing such a super job in Louisville, Kentucky. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for being with us. The Renegade Tour moves on.
As the crowd heads out, so will we. We'll be back with more Renegade TNT Monster Truck Challenges soon. Along with Army Armstrong, I'm Richard Leek. So long, everyone.
Join us next time for Power Tracks, the most powerful sport on earth. Brought to you by TNT Motorsports, the nation's leader in pulling and monster truck racing.
United Airlines, from the ground up, rededicated to giving you the service you deserve. Come fly the friendly skies.